Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I am excited to have a close friend and a returning guest here with me today. Today, for those of you who may not know, is National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. So, this is somewhat of a sad but joyous time because, we are celebrating the actual lives that were kind of taken away from us prematurely. So, Mitchell and I have this in common. I actually had two miscarriages on my journey of motherhood, and she has written about her story. And today we're just going to get together, connect, and kind of talk about this day because although it's somber, I like to try to focus on the positive and
Mhm.
I think, celebrating life. I think one of the hard things as when you're struggling with a miscarriage is, although a lot of people may not have seen the child, there's that instant connection as a mother when you're carrying this life in your womb. And so acknowledging that, although it can be bittersweet, I think
Mhm.
it's good for healing and just acknowledgement. It's
Mhm.
like everybody's like, get on with yourself, but you're like, hey, my life was transformed for however much time that was. So I'm excited to have her here with me today. But before we get into a lot of our conversation around it, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Mitchell. I'm an accountant by profession and a mom of three amazing sons. And motherhood to me meant the world. So, can
Mhm.
you just imagine after trying to get pregnant for years and then you end up find out that you were expecting and then to only have a miscarriage? And it wasn't just a miscarriage, it was a ruptured ectopic pregnancy that
Oh.
almost took my life.
Mhm.
So, it's just a little bit about me and my story.
Okay. And I think that is always something to kind of think about. First of all, you're already nervous to be a mom, and then,
Mhm.
we have these experiences. Um, so what was that like? Did you have any kind of warning signs? Was there, anything that something wasn't quite right leading up to it?
Yes,
Okay.
I actually remember going to the emergency room a couple of days before, and
Mhm.
I told the emergency room doctor that I just wasn't feeling well,
Mhm.
and he said, "Well, everything is okay." And they used a Doppler to check for
Mhm.
the heartbeat. There was no heartbeat, but he said, "Oh,
Mhm.
it's early, so everything is okay."
Mhm.
And he gave me a shot because of my blood type. Because usually they're saying
Mhm.
that if the baby's blood type is different from yours, then your body could be fighting against the fetus. So they gave me a
Mhm.
shot to prevent that from happening. I still didn't feel like everything was okay. And I remember went back in the room after they discharged me, and I was said to him, I said, something isn't right. Can you guys do an ultrasound for me, please? And he's like, no, you don't need an ultrasound, and just brushed me off. So I just went home and I went back to work, and then I started spotting. And I called my doctor, and he said, okay, just take a few days off from work, and then you come and see us on Friday. So I did that and never made it to the doctor on Friday. I
Mm.
woke up in severe pain, and I was actually bleeding inside because it had ruptured in my
Oh,
sleep. So
wow.
I had internal bleeding, and yeah, I called my mom, and she called 911 while I was on the phone with her without even knowing that she was doing this.
Yeah.
I She called 911, and I had to scoot on my butt, go downstairs to open the door for them and all that stuff. And they just rushed me away. I didn't get a chance to do anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is just, I think the going back to having that inner voice that
Hmm.
something's just not quite right.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to moms about that intuition?
In my case, I probably should have gone somewhere else
Mhm.
and insist that they took better care of me.
Mhm.
insist that I got the ultrasound done instead of just saying, okay, then, and just going home. So when
Mhm.
your mind tells you something, you need to be more persistent.
Mhm. Definitely. Now, so you have 3 boys now.
Mm-hmm.
You walk us through that process of pregnancy number 2. I know for me, I had a miscarriage after my 2nd child. So in
Oh,
between
okay.
my 2nd and 3rd,
Mm-hmm.
and, they put me on birth control after that
Oh.
loss because they were like, "We
Mm-hmm.
wanna make sure your body heals." I had to have a
Mm-hmm.
DNC done, so it wasn't like I passed the miscarriage. They found out at a doctor's visit
Oh.
that the baby,
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a heartbeat, and it
Mm-hmm.
had happened, that day or maybe just hours before because they could tell by the size of the baby based
Mm-hmm.
on how many weeks I was or whatever. But I was so sick, I couldn't even drink water.
Oh my.
Everything made me so sick, and so
Mm-hmm.
that day when I was scheduled to go to my doctor's visit, I wasn't sick. I was like, "This is strange," and normally
Mm-hmm.
for these first 2 pregnancies before that, I was sick the first trimester, so I thought being
Mm-hmm.
sick was no big deal, but I just couldn't have anything on my stomach, nothing, not even water.
Yeah.
So, they didn't hear a heartbeat, so I had to choose. Did I wanna have a DNC, or they said it can happen naturally, whatever. I mean, it was just a lot. I was Christian, and so I'm like, "Do they know what they're talking about? Should I
Mm-hmm.
be trusting God? Is the baby really gonna have a heartbeat?" I mean, I was going through all kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, I chose to have the DNC, so because I did that, they were like, "Well, we wanna make sure that you heal. We're gonna put you on birth control pills for a year." And I got pregnant, during that time with my 3rd one.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was that like, that pregnancy afterwards?
It was very nerve wracking. I remember like everything was a red flag for me at this point. Like anything happened, I was at the doctor's office so much. So good. The doctor who did my surgery is actually the doctor that I went to with my second pregnancy.
Mhm,
So they understood what I was going through. They know it was mostly emotional and the fear and all that other stuff. Because I remember when I just found out I was pregnant, it started spotting, and I went there, and he was like, "Oh, this is normal," but they still did an ultrasound just to make certain that they put my mind at ease.
mhm,
So, and then with Jordan, I was in a car accident with him when I was pregnant with him, and I ended up in the emergency room because it sent me into preterm labor.
mhm.
So they had to have me in bed rest for a while. They had to give me medication to stop the dilation and all that stuff. So and then Jordan was here. So it
Mm,
was, and I enjoyed all three of my pregnancies. They weren't easy, but I
mhm.
enjoyed it. To me,
Yeah,
being pregnant, that's the only time I feel like my baby's really safe because they're
yeah,
within my body. So I know what's going on with them every single day, every hour, every minute, everything that's going on with them. So
that is
yeah.
so true. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. So, and I felt the same way. It was, I was afraid to tell anybody that we were having another one. I mean, this is early. This was our 3rd pregnancy, right? Well, it was
Mm-hmm.
our 4th because I had the miscarriage, but I was afraid to tell anybody. I was just really in this place of, you know, second guessing everything,
Yeah.
wondering if this is going to happen and everything. And,
Mm-hmm.
um, this child that we had, she was everything was sevens, and, with the Bible, we believe that's completion. So,
Mm-hmm.
she was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. She was
Mm-hmm.
born 7 days early.
Oh
Her,
wow.
the delivery was 7 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and her birthday was June 7th.
Oh wow.
And the thing about for her, she was born with they call being born with the veil on.
Mm-hmm.
So, my water didn't break, she was born with her amniotic sac,
Oh
and it
wow.
ruptured as she came out. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was something. So, so talk to us about the mindset. We have this day, we're recognizing the loss,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, how did you get past that questioning, wondering, about the loss? How did you put that to rest?
The first thing I remember doing when I went home was I planted a rose because in my heart I think it was a girl, and so
Mm.
I purchased a pink rose and I planted in my garden.
Mhm.
So that was my way of never forgetting because I didn't want to
Mhm.
ever forget. Because to me, that baby paved the way for my other three kids after.
Mhm.
And it was just my faith, just believing God that He promised me that I was going to bear kids. And that was what I held on to. I held Him to His word. So
Mhm.
He didn't just bless me with one, because even my doctors, when I had my procedure, they were saying it's not possible. So they named him my miracle baby because they were saying it's not possible because they had to remove my ovary and my tube. They had to remove one
Oh.
because it was ruptured, it was damaged. So they were like, we don't think this is possible. You might never ever have children. I didn't listen to that. I prayed because I know what God
Amen.
promised me, and I've always believed in God.
Mhm.
I wasn't raised spiritual. My parents are not spiritual people,
Mhm.
but I just always believed from a little girl because my grandmother was very spiritual. She was at church every Sunday. She read the Bible. She prayed over us. She did all these things. So I just
Wow.
believed that one day I was going to have kids. So it was hard. You
Mhm.
know, I I was devastated because even when I went back
Mhm.
to work, it was very difficult because I didn't tell. I'm a private person outside of
Mhm.
that, so not many people knew that I was even expecting. Only like my
Mhm.
supervisor and stuff like that, but nobody really knew that. And I was 3 months pregnant, so.
Wow.
But it was hard going back to work because then people found out and they would come asking you questions. You don't want to talk about that stuff. You
Right.
just want to take it one day at a time and keep it moving and gradually getting back to where you need to be.
I love that. And, I love the whole idea about the faith and remembering what God promised you. And a lot of times we can kind of see the end story
Yeah.
and people don't understand what that actually looked like. So,
Hmm.
how long was it after you had your miscarriage before you got pregnant? And what were some of the things that you did on a regular basis to kind of protect that faith or dream or goal? You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yes. It was. I think I got pregnant. Had my miscarriage in July. I think it was September. I
Oh,
think it
so
was,
it's
so.
pretty
It
quick.
wasn't long after. No, I was determined to be a mom. Okay.
Amen.
I think it was in September because Jordan was born 9 months after, and he was born in June. I think it was September, October, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't long after because the doctor was like, "Oh, you need to wait 6 months." I'm like, "Okay."
Mhm.
Here we go playing God, but it just happened. It wasn't even like I was even trying, but
I
it
love that.
happened, and it was truly a blessing for me
Mhm.
when I found out I was expecting. I was nervous. Yes, I was scared. Like, oh my gosh, if this happened again and this is it,
Yes.
I'm not doing this again. But it turned out perfect, and he was perfect.
That
And
is
in some
awesome.
ways, he's still perfect.
Oh, that is so sweet. Now, and so what were some things that you were doing, in terms of
I didn't really do anything different. I
Mhm.
just healing was very important to me. So it
Mhm.
was spending more time with God and just believing.
Mm.
As I think if I had allowed that to stop believing and start blaming, I never blamed him at all.
Right.
I wasn't like, oh, why did this happen? Nope, I didn't. I
Mhm.
just accepted as a part of my journey
Wow.
and dealt with it from that perspective. That this is just the life, and this is what happened to me, and I can't stay here. I have to just keep moving and growing and just preparing myself to be a parent and to be a great parent because life, my role as a mom, I take it very serious. It's
I love
not
that.
it's not just, oh, I had some kids. No. No. It's my job to ensure that these men grow up to be productive citizens in this world.
I love that.
So I don't take my job as a mother lightly at all. And anybody who knows me with my kids, they'll tell you that they're my number one priority.
Mhm.
outside of God, of course.
Yeah.
But my children come first. I'm their biggest advocate and their biggest cheerleader.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love that. Now, so how did you to me, it's just totally being able to empower yourself
Hmm.
and not have a victim mindset. And many of us, it may not even be a loss of a child. It could be,
Hmm.
your worth that's attached to a job that you have. And,
Hmm.
COVID comes and,
Hmm.
everything's disrupted. And then you kind of don't know where to go from there. So, how did you have that insight to not
Hmm.
have the victim mindset? I think that's a very powerful principle that you live by that, how do you explain that to somebody who may be watching on what they
Hmm.
can do to get out of that rut of being a victim?
The first thing I did was I knew exactly what I wanted,
Mhm.
and I didn't give up on that dream. Because a lot of times we tend to give up, something go wrong and derail things, and we are like, oh, I'm not even going to even bother. But it was just hanging in there, when the tough days come. Trying to stay positive. From I was a little girl, I've always, they call it dancing to the beat of your own drum.
Mhm.
So I have always, in my mind, sometimes what's really going on outside and in this world is not what's going on in here. I tend to, a lot of times it's about envisioning what you really want.
Mm.
It is keeping that at the forefront of your mind no matter what's going on. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get. So it's just, and then because things happen in our
Mhm.
life, things happen in our day. So it's just knowing exactly what you want and being determined that this is what you want.
I
Just seeing
love
that
that.
vision, knowing this is what it is, and no matter what comes, this is what you want. It's not, oh, so I'm gonna change my mind because this ain't working out for me. No.
Right.
Yeah, to just keep going. If you have to rest, cry, whatever. But just keep going.
I love now. So, did you have a vision board? Did you have
Mm-mm.
a affirmation? It was just
No.
inside. You just knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. Because I think a lot of people that you're right. It's the first thing they do. They're not really committed
Mm-hmm.
to their vision, and the first sign of issues, then they drop the vision and
Yes.
don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's powerful. Now,
Mm-hmm.
so transitioning to actually writing a story about it,
Mm-hmm.
when did you know? Because this happened how many years ago?
It was 19 years ago.
So what
Mhm.
was it that just kind of said, I need to write about this?
It was releasing it because for years, whenever that time come around and it started happening without me even noticing it, I
Mhm.
would get I would be a little bit off, and I'd be
Mm.
like, "What's going on?" And then if I check my calendar, I would realize it is around that time of the year.
Mm.
And I was like, I have to release this. So I wrote the book. I was nervous about publishing it because I'm like, ain't nobody want to hear your story. So
Mhm.
I just wrote it and left it on my computer. And one day I got up and I said, you know what? I need to complete this book. And I did put on my vision board, complete my first book. And I was trying to ask other people, like, how did you publish your book? That is just the hardest information to get.
Mhm.
I just didn't understand that. So then I started watching YouTube videos and I'm going online and doing my own research, and I self-published. Because to me that was just too, I haven't even done anything with it, LaChelle, to be honest with you. It was just to release it. And
Yeah.
when I did that, I felt so much better. Because now I am not on edge around that time of the year anymore. I still remember that day because it's something that will always stay with me. But I am not, on edge or fussy or feeling
Mhm.
down or anything like that anymore. So writing it down, putting it on paper, it helped me to release it.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love that because I think that is And it's so funny because, once you become an author, that's
Mhm.
just the beginning. It's like you're thinking you didn't finish the race, girl.
Yes.
You're just getting started,
Mhm.
because it's the marketing. It's, all these different
Yes.
things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Well, this has just been a great, inspiring story because for many moms who are out there and may have suffered a loss, just the idea that, there is still life beyond
Mhm.
experiencing a loss. And, in
Yes.
your case, you were blessed with three more children. And
Mhm.
I had, what was it? I had 2, so I had 13 altogether. So
Mhm.
my 3rd pregnancy and my last pregnancy was a miscarriage.
Oh wow.
And, I think one of the things that I would say for, people who have suffered loss is that there is that void. A lot of people
Mhm.
say, "Oh, well, you've got 3 healthy boys," but you
Mhm.
still are like, "That was a baby too." You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it
Mhm.
just doesn't qualify the
Mhm.
loss by any
Mhm.
means. You just kind of still have it.
Yes.
So, I just want to thank you so much for sharing and
You're
tell
welcome.
everybody the name of your book,
It is going home with empty arms.
and they can get that on Amazon.
Amazon, yes.
Awesome. And so, what final words would you like to share with everybody?
Um, it'll be just keep your faith
Hmm.
and never give up. It's something that you really want and you're passionate about and you're willing to do the work and just never give up. Because whatever it's being a mom, being a business owner, being the best employee in the world, it all takes work and things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. And we can't just throw in the towel and be like, I'm done because
Hmm.
something happened. You never promised us that it was going to be a walk in the park. That
So
wasn't
true.
a promise. We're going
Hmm.
to get bumps, bruises, all that stuff. And your story is never yours, it's always to help someone else.
I love that. And that is so true. And we just want to thank you for being vulnerable,
You're
transparent. Sorry
welcome.
for your loss. And
Thank you.
love the fact that you have many blessings to share and your
Mhm.
story.
Mhm.
So we want to thank you all for watching with us today. And if you did suffer a loss, put it in the comments. We would love to connect with you, just say a prayer, wish you blessings for,
Mhm.
going through this journey that we've went through together. And we just want to thank you all for watching. So with that being said, we want to wish everybody a wonderful, amazing weekend. And remembering that, although it may be a loss, it's still, such as Mitchell said, it's not your story. It is there for you to help somebody else. So share your story of loss because you never know how that can increase someone else's faith and just be a source of therapy for them because they realize that it's not just them going through it. There's other people that have experienced it as well.
Mhm.
All
Yes.
right. Well,
Thanks for having me.
you are so welcome. We thank you all for watching, and we will see you all on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.